Everybody all set?
If I can open this up, okay, that would be. No, put the wrong one.
It's good to catch that
Yeah,
now.
let's close this.
You can always change it. Now is the time.
Or can I just do it?
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Bristol Town Council meeting of October 9th, 2024. If you could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, everyone. If we could, actually, I'll wait till we get to the consent.
The first item of business is the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Before you do, could you pull or could we pull GG1?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And if we could just have a motion to approve the consent agenda, because I think I hijacked that one.
No problem. Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We'll put that at the end of the meeting.
The next item on the agenda is the town council meeting minutes for September 18, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is C1. This is ordinance number 2024-16, chapter 27, taxation, section 2715, taxation classification system. And this is to adopt a system of classifications for taxable property in the town. Second reading.
So we're going to start with the solicitor. Mike, if you could, I know that Councilman Lay had reached out and started a conversation, which was a very appropriate one. If you could.
Absolutely. So as part of qualification for this ordinance as a owner occupied structure, we have to have proof that you're, a resident that owns the property. And the version that's before you references becoming or being a registered voter as an obvious way to prove that, you're a town resident, where you live, et cetera. But you are totally right that Councilman Lay brought up the fact that there's certainly a number of people who are not registered owners, but they, of course, do own the property. So I had a nice conversation with Michelle DeMayo and looked at what some other municipalities did, and she would be very comfortable if we added some language that allows an individual to prove with at least two other types of IDs, whether that be like a driver's license, a passport, car registration, et cetera, as long as it was acceptable proof, it would be in addition to the voter registration. So what I'm going to propose to you, if you're going to adopt this, is in section A1C1 to add, or if not a registered voter, present at least two forms of ID acceptable to the tax assessor collector, including but not limited to driver's license, passport, car registration. There might be other things out there.
Outstanding. Okay.
With the amendment, I make a motion that we approve it.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim, as stated with the amendment. Discussion?
I have one quick comment. I still think it's a little complicated for some people. And I just hope that when, it's sort of summarized by your office, just like gets to be like simple bullet points for people to understand what they need to do. That was my comment. I mean, I know you went back and redid some of it because of those comments from last time, but it still seems like, especially for some of the people that are not as tech savvy, that we're trying to reach, I just get concerned about that.
Michelle, could you
So that's
maybe
all.
expand upon, so what does this look like, or it's being proposed? So obviously we have a motion and a second for discussion, proposed to have it passed, but what does it look like when a resident comes in and says, yes, I'm a resident, I live at this property here? What does that look like? And then a year later, what are they doing to continue to attest that they still live there and they're still a resident, such and so forth? Go ahead.
So as far as the application, we will have it's in the works. We don't have anything yet, but we will have an application that states what their qualifications are, what they need to provide as far as proof. It will be more straightforward as far as bullet points and what they're applying for so that they do understand. I believe in the ordinance, we decided that they will fill this out in year one and then not have to reapply again for 3 years. We're still kind of working out
That's
the
okay.
kinks.
That's okay.
Whether the residents will be notified that it is time to renew their application, or if it's just something that they will have to keep track of.
So I agree with Councilman Perella's points on it. I think it's imperative that we're asking these important questions. It's imperative that people are seeing the benefit of this, that they have to prove that certain basic things. But I also think it should be not so arduous that it pushes people away from doing it, right?
Right.
So I think that's really important.
Yes, the solicitor and I did discuss putting something together, trying to make it as easy as possible, review it with the solicitor's office, make sure everything is in line with the ordinance, with the state laws, and try and make it as easy and seamless for all of us, for the
Beautiful.
residents in my department.
And Michelle, I just had a quick question in regards to the application. Are we going to be able to apply but online with like an e-application, or are you still thinking it's going to be processed by paper? I'm just thinking for your office and traceability of forms and,
So as of right
renewals.
now, none of our applications, none of our exemptions are available online. They can download the applications online, but we do not have any e-filing for any of the exemptions.
I'm just thinking for something as big
Um,
as this, we probably want to, I don't know. I don't
Right,
know what my
so
colleagues think.
I think it's an outstanding idea. Okay. Just for everyone, this is and certainly Tony, make your point. This is a 3-tiered tax system. This is the final step of many steps to get here. This conversation started quite a while ago with the administrator to have a 3-tiered tax system. And then ultimately it went to legislation to get it approved. And the 3-tiered tax system, I'll back up and say we currently have one, right? So if you, property tax is one rate for everyone, commercial, residential, non-owner occupied residential. This allows for 3 separate and distinct rates. They may not be different, but most likely they will be. That's the goal. And then there is a lot of future conversation, but not too far in the future, because this will be applied towards next year's budget. And that conversation will include, what does it look like? Not necessarily bottom lines, but what is non-owner occupied? Example, Airbnb is a great example of that. So the idea of the premise that this council took on this was to help offset cost to full-time residents and have some of those costs borne by short-term rentals. So if you've been here or you haven't been here, if you're just a resident, right, you don't have to be here for any time. It's just you own your property, right? So we're looking at ways of making it more affordable for more people to stay in Bristol. And the goal is not to push business out. Airbnb is business. But to help those costs be borne by those shorter terms or short terms. So.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. A couple things. One, the timeline. When, because I mean, I know it's right on the ordinance, but I think it would be good for us to articulate that. When is the timeline? When should the block of time they may apply?
So applications will be accepted January 1st through March 15th. For this first year, we are giving a little extra time. I believe we did through May 1st for 2025, just to give us a little more time to get all of the applications in. But on a typical year, it would be January 1st through March 15th.
Okay. And I have one suggestion. I know with technology nowadays, you says, at the end of the 3 years, how do we notify, or how would people know? Is it possible that we can include that in the tax bill as a reminder? I mean, with technology, could
Of
a
course,
note
yeah.
be included so that, okay, your time has expired, you need to reapply?
Right. We can also do emails.
Yeah, I just want to clarify the record on something. So the ordinance actually, and for good reason, and I'll explain, the ordinance actually requires an annual reapplication. What is different is the first time you apply, it's the, big, long, involved form. Each year thereafter, you simply have to sign a certification that there've been no changes. So you don't have to go through that whole application process. Because in any given year, someone could sell their property. So, and you don't want someone, using this system for a period of 3 years, if in fact it's only good for 1 year and, et cetera. So 1 year annual application, but after that, it's just signed that there've been no changes.
I think it's a very simple process.
Yeah.
It's not as complicated, so, yeah.
And Michelle, if you could explore what it's going to cost for e-applications as well, I think it's important because if we're going to make this as easy as possible, and for traceability, I think online is the way to go. To have to come in and sit in line to fill out an application or sign, it's by today's standards. So I know it's probably it may require some funding for that. So
Yeah.
I don't know, just something to think about.
Okay.
I think that the second and third year, you could definitely like do a form online. I think the first year, unless you could scan it in, because you're going to want to see that documentation. It's kind of like
Yeah.
kids proving that they're in the school district, type
Right.
of thing.
I agree totally. I mean, the first year in order to verify the information, all that, I think it would be a little difficult to do all of that online nowadays, well, with some folks. So it would be best to come in, that in person, I think it's very important on the first round.
This is worth saying. This is really good. And no, it doesn't sound like it's really good in the way we're conveying this. This is outstanding. This was a lot of work to get here. And this is to help residents that have been here for a short time or a long time to stay residents for a long time. That's what we want, to make it more affordable and spread the costs around without pushing anybody out. So there'll be a lot more dialogue about it, but this is outstanding stuff. So any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Thank you. Thanks, Michelle.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is C2. This is ordinance 2024-17, Chapter 21, to the police, Article 2, probationary patrol officer, Section 2141, appointment of qualifications of applicants. And this is to change the age qualification from 21 to 18. It's the second reading.
I make a motion that we approve it.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Chief, good luck.
The next item on the agenda is E1. This is a 6-month review for the dog kennel license from Matthew Dame at Dog's Life on 36 Spring Street.
Based on the positive recommendations, I'm glad the situation was cleared up. Make a motion to approve.
Mary.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Mary to approve. Discussion? Matthew, discussion?
Thank you, and sorry for wasting your time with this.
Uh,
It won't
Oh.
happen again, I assure you.
The 30 seconds you just took of this time is absolutely fine. No problem. I'm kidding. I know there was a lot of work in the background. So.
Yeah.
Any other discussion?
Just
Hearing
so-
none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is G1. This is the Board of Tenants Affairs. This is 1 2-year unexpired term set to expire January 2025. We have Donald Luminello with a letter of resignation. We also have Donna Falcoa with interest in appointment. And the council will also note that there's we received that meeting. There's also a application for Arthur Maderas for the Board of Tenant Affairs. You will note that he is on G2 for the Bristol Housing Authority, but he notified us that he applied for the wrong board. So he does want to be considered for the Board of Tenants Affairs.
So council, unless there's objection, I think, and we'll get to the next agenda item also, but I think it would be best to continue both G1 and G2. And again, we'll get to G2 in a moment for this reason. So it is advertised correctly, right? And that Now that with this update, then G2 has one applicant, which does change things. There was also a question raised by a few that can we have more than one resident on that also serves as the Bristol Housing Authority member? We have one currently, if my memory is correct. So the
Mhm.
question was, can we have more? The clerk and I spoke a little bit earlier. She did some research on it. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're still waiting for a little bit more to come back. So I don't know of any earth-shattering reasons why we need to make an appointment tonight. So if everybody's okay with G1, and then when we get to a G2 to continue to our next meeting?
On G1 though, although we accept the resignation,
Excellent
with a
point.
letter of thank you from Mr. Luminello.
And then we'll continue the rest to the
Correct.
next
Next
meeting?
meeting.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks.
So the next item on the agenda is the Bristol Housing Authority, 1 5-year unexpired term set to expire January 2027.
So we just need a motion to continue this one also, please.
So
Uh,
moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mary, seconded by Tony to continue to our next meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is H3. This is James Paul, 28 First School Street, H1, I'm sorry. And this is in regards to an ordinance amendment to designate First School Street as a residential no overnight parking. The council asked for a recommendation from the Director of Community Development, which is here for proposed revisions to the residential parking zone ordinance.
So Diane, I understand you are ready to speak on this. You gave us a great presentation here. Eric is going to put up the map for the council and the public that you'll see just in a moment here. Could you just refresh everybody's memory about where this was prompted from and how you got to
Yes.
the recommendation?
So at your September meeting, there was a resident or a group of residents, I should say, from First School Street who brought to our attention that there was overnight parking on their street as a result of the Prudence Ferry. And they were petitioning the council to designate their street as a no overnight parking zone. However, there were also residents from adjoining streets, I think State Street and Mount Hope. And we said, if you designate First School Street as a no overnight parking, then you're hurting your neighbors who may also need to park there. So the council asked us to kind of look at this more comprehensively, which we did. So Nick Toth generated a few maps for us. We had a great meeting with the town administrator, Chief Lynch, Captain Wozni, and even the town clerk's office. We'll say even. We had help.
Even.
There's a multi-department coordination on this because it is somewhat important that we get, that we look at this the way we did. So we mapped the red lines on this are the streets that already have regulations, and most of those are 2-hour parking limits for either 24 hours or between 5 and 7, or then they also have the overlap of the no overnight parking. So we then looked at what's a distance from the ferry that seems like it would be maybe reasonable for folks to walk, and maybe we want to include other streets so that we don't leave out streets where we're going to now create more problems because we designated no parking on the ones we were asked to do. So we took about I think it was a half a mile radius from the ferry, and we said that's probably like a reasonable distance for folks to feel like they could walk. And we just did a radius, kind of outlining a grid as you see there, to include all the streets that are yellow on this map, as they will be in the new no overnight parking without a resident sticker. And so that's what we are recommending. So we did the map to illustrate it, and we did a list as well for the ordinance. And that is what you have in front of you for your consideration.
Just 2 questions, if I could. Thank you for doing this. And, as it turned out, we mentioned that there are people down on High Street past Union going south that people are now parking there. And so I think this covers a good part of it. I just had 2 questions, Diane. One is, they came from Second Street And isn't there a third school street, I believe? Like,
There is.
why did we not include the third school street? Because it seems like we're just leaving a potential problem. If they've been walking that far, what's one more street? And then there's that little section, I think it might be Shaw's Lane. See right there? I think it's,
Catherine Street.
no, no. It's like not marked, but it says like this right up in there. I
So
think,
just east of Wood Street? Is that?
yeah, I think it's not showing up, but I think it's Shaw's Lane is what I think. And why that, it just struck me as that little area is just left out. Because then I think you'd go over between Franklin and that street. It'd be like the Unity Park and Kaiser and, Franklin Court and all that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that is, it might be Shaw's and Rock and Ryan.
That's
Yeah, I think it
exactly
is,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shaw's, Rock and Ryan, and, if you want to continue it along those streets and then second, we have first and second on here. We didn't take it to third. I think we just kind of had to stop somewhere.
Yeah.
And we felt those captured the areas that we were concerned with.
I mean, I would think that I would do the third just because they're kind of like in order. And if they're going one length, one up, it's just one more street up. So what's one more street to get the free parking? And I would also capture that little area. I don't know if we can just amend this, Mike, today, or if we have to.
This was
have
just
it re-
recommendation.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So
Oh,
no,
right.
no,
Okay,
no.
sorry.
No, we don't have to. I know this because Mike and I were talking earlier about exactly that.
Okay.
So discussion here tonight, if we wanted to include more, it's okay.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Or
I mean,
remove.
I don't know if anybody has any objection to that, but that would be my suggestion. But I think overall, this is like a good plan. I'm sure people will say, well, I didn't really want to walk I'd rather walk a half a mile, but maybe I will, to avoid hassle, I'll just walk a mile. We'll be revisiting it.
You're right, I know, keep going. Well, we mapped it out, I think to Nevicom, we did 3 or 4 radiuses to show the
Yeah.
different distances. And the tax assessor has pulled up the GIS map to confirm it is Shaw's, Rock and Ryan, and then it looks like maybe Easterbrooks, because that's almost.
That's the only other little
third.
street that would be third. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. That would be
So
captured
We can
in.
include that as well.
Anybody have objection to that on the council?
I don't have any objections. The only thing I'm worried about is the concern of when does it end? I think we're just pushing,
It doesn't.
but, down the line, I think Diane, you and I were talking about the long term or thinking about areas where they could, if they need to go to Prudence for 3 weeks at a time, they have a place they can go and park their car, but not leave it on more and more streets that we have to keep blocking off. So I'm just hoping we can, not have to keep going.
So the administrator and I spoke earlier today, and the administrator has taken some steps to work with, and he's going to speak on it right now, but he's taken some steps and reached out to some private property owners for possible solutions. Mr. Administrator, could you?
Yeah, I've been working with the chairperson of the Prudence Island Planning Committee, and they were able to get an okay from the VFW for a very limited number of spaces long-term. Those would be leases. They were also communicating with Gooding Realty at Gooding Plaza. And what's nice about those 2 lots, they're on the bus 60 bus route, which runs every half hour. We're also, our harbor master's working with CRMC. There's a request to CRMC to see if we're allowed to permit winter parking there. So when we don't have marina parking there, it ends mid-November.
It's a good
We would
point.
allow
That's a
parking
good
at
point.
the marina
Yep.
for the Prudence Island people during the winter by permit, but we haven't gotten a response yet. But that's our request. So.
Is the town of Portsmouth also doing anything on their end to also
They're
help
included in
alleviate
the,
this?
they're included in the emails.
Okay.
I honestly, I don't think they're working on any parking,
Okay.
from what I understand. but,
That's too bad.
So what I
Yes.
loved about this is that this council and everybody sitting here's first priority is Bristol. It should be. That's what we're supposed to do. But it doesn't mean that we need to be unkind to the residents on Prudence Island. So these opportunities to bring it to their attention, it also helps private property owners. VFW is kind of private, I guess, but they certainly benefit from that, which I think is outstanding. And they would police in the sense of their own parking space and lease rates and all of that. Same thing with Gooding. I think it's an outstanding way of saying, here's an opportunity to fix it for you, but we need to make sure that, and the residents here tonight, you brought it to our attention that you are having an issue on it. I think this is a great way of taking care of our residents, and that's our first priority. But if we can give assistance through information, I think it's also outstanding. Did you want to share something?
Yes.
If you could state your
Yeah.
name and address for the record, please.
Chris Souza, 18 First School Street,
Welcome.
Bristol, Rhode Island. I was one of the signers of the
Yes.
original petition. Again, thank you all for your assistance. And I did just want to say, I think there were some good ideas raised tonight, especially the idea of, expanding it beyond First School Street. I did want to clarify one item that was mentioned earlier. We did have people last time, which I believe was the August meeting, from State Street and Mount Hope, who were signatures to the original petition, who were not opposed to the request, that they actually signed our petition for First School Street, but requested that, we expand it to their streets as well. So just wanted to clarify that item. And I do also appreciate the idea of, potentially looking for private places where people can park. Personally, I live on First Street. It doesn't bother me. Personally, I live alone. I have a 6-car driveway. I might be interested in renting some spots. So,
As they say in
if
Providence,
there's an
I'm
interest-
not saying, I'm just saying.
Well, no, I'm just saying,
Might generate-
there may be potential,
People that might have it.
yeah, in addition to personal parking lots that, businesses own, lots, there may be individuals that, given the opportunity, may have spots. They may own a house that they have extra parking places. So maybe there's a way that could be a potential, like, easing of the burden.
So
So-
Tim made a comment a little bit earlier, which is saying, where does it end? It doesn't. And
No.
I was joking around, but I was actually serious too.
Mhm.
And it's a great point that Tim made, is that where do we draw the line? Well, we don't. What we do is we continue to look at this as this has expanded much, much more than what it initially started many years ago, and that's okay.
Yeah.
As we continue to look at this, we'll continue to make adjustments. It's an organic ordinance, I guess, or will be. It's not yet. And that's okay. So
And I
as
appreciate the
residents,
discussions.
yeah, well, and this council appreciates it being brought to our attention. And this council also appreciates all the hard work that was done by all the departments to bring a positive recommendation here too.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
No, go ahead, you first.
Mr. Chairman, one of the things that it's important to remind the residents is that with this, for enforcement reasons, you need to get your sticker if you park on the road. You don't want to say, okay, I get tagged. I live here. Well, a part of that is that if your vehicle is not identified or has the sticker, okay, then obviously when it's time for enforcement, you maybe get tagged.
Great point.
So you have to deal with that as well. So.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Oh, am I? Yeah, I'm on. You guys can hear me. I'm glad you brought that up, Councilman Texera. Diane, can you walk us through a little bit? Like, let's say that we do have a resident that lives in this yellow area right now. Can you walk us through like the process of if they have a guest that arrives or something like that, how they might get it like a guest pass or something?
Well, I don't believe the ordinance provides for any guest passes, and I'm looking at the clerk's office. They are very well versed on the process for the residential stickers. So,
So there's a provision in the ordinance that allows any person who lives in the residential zone to obtain a temporary parking pass for guests. The guests have 1 week, up to 7 days to use that pass. The resident would come in and request that pass for their guests, but we do need their registration of the vehicle for those passes.
Right. So I think one of the things that we'd have to be, I think, a little bit clear with the residents over there is maybe if they have a guest that's coming in from out of town and their guest gets a rental car or something like that, and it's a Friday and the clerk's office is closed, there might be the issue of them not being able to get a guest pass. And so I think it might be something that we want to think about in terms of how do we address that issue if, there's some situation where they can't, get the information about a registration or something like that to the clerk's office.
Well, that's a good point, especially like in the shorter term rentals, of people coming in, like, I mean, in just like Westerly, if you're gonna go to the fire district beach or whatever, they would give you, like at the a hotel would give you the pass to be able to use to park at that location. And maybe there has to be some of those that are accounted for at these particular sites that are, bed and breakfast, guest houses, what used to be, and now Airbnb type things, but they've always kind of been around. And if people are parking on the street. So, I mean, I don't think that is so much the issue. Is when you get in like a huge number of people that are just trying to, they either don't have a place to park or they don't want to spend the money to park. And then they just like decide, oh, this is like a great neighborhood. Let me leave my car right smack in front of people's houses. And so, but I do think, Diane, and I know that you know this, I know that you know that I meant that. I just want to be clear that if we do go up to Third School Street, whatever, that means State Street and Mount Hope Avenue up to there as well.
Yes, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yes.
So a couple of points of clarity, and call you in a second. One, we're not passing an ordinance tonight. This was a recommendation for information so we can take the next step on it. So none of this goes in place. You don't have to go home and say, I don't have a sticker, I'm going to get a parking ticket tonight. No. Like most of our ordinance, they tend to be citizen driven. And what I mean by that is the police are not sitting around waiting for somebody to park so they can give them a ticket. It's typically a resident calling saying this vehicle's been here for a couple of days. And could somebody tell me, are they supposed to be here? So, and Chief, please correct me if I'm wrong but the premise behind this is that nobody's sitting there waiting for somebody to be there an hour and a half per se. This is typically a resident saying, this car's been here a while. Is this supposed to be here? And that prompts the next step on those things. Would you agree with that, Chief? All right, sir.
Yes, Jim Pauley, 28 First School Street. I also wanted to thank you for considering this. I'm in the dead center of the street, so I'm kind of affected a lot by it, but actually more so the sides, the corners. What I wanted to ask is maybe for the long-term parking, I mean, Bristol's very condensed, a lot more than Portsmouth. Maybe if the long-term parking was pushed more to Portsmouth side, and then they would be able to solve the problem, hopefully more with having them park longer over there than in downtown Bristol. I mean, obviously we don't want to stop them from coming in. They utilize our businesses, they come in and they need to go shop and so forth. But I think the long-term parking more on the Portsmouth side might alleviate the situation.
And the good news is the town administrator is engaging with Portsmouth. So hopefully that does happen.
And to be
I
fair,
couldn't agree with you more.
there has been discussions. I don't want to get too into it in the sense because they're not here to respond to it, but there has been suggestions, I should say. For example, when the lease on the parking lot came up, the administrator reached out to Portsmouth to say, we are not going to renew the lease down on Thames Street. You may want to consider, is it something that you want to consider? So that there's always been dialogue there. Ultimately, it's the Portsmouth Town Council's decision on what they want to do or not want to do. Our goal is to make sure that we're taking care of you, all of you, is that when you see an issue like this, that we'll address it. And again, I'm going to say one more time, I think it's outstanding that we're pushing the opportunity to the residents of Prudence to find another place. And Chris, you brought it up also, is that Chris may have 5 available spots. I'm just throwing it out there. And so I think you should leave your name and number with the administrators. I'm just saying.
Chris, there's an app called Spot Hero. You'll have to check it out. So, but Spot Hero.
Yeah, I don't know if it would be the state or the, but the park and ride lot is just not that far from the bridge. As like you're getting on Route 24. I don't know how busy that is during the day, if people use it or not, but
it's
they may be able to carve some spots
a
out there.
potential spot.
Certainly on the weekends they could,
Yeah.
but I think then Portsmouth would probably have to run some sort of a shuttle at certain times, even if it's just a couple of times a day, so people would know.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you.
Tony?
I know we're trying to come up with various solutions, but the short term, if I lived in the area, which right now I might end up living, and if I have a visitor, I'm just going to park my vehicles in the street and allow them to park. So we got to think of alternatives too. I mean, we got to let this be, we're trying to come up with as many options here as possible, but at some point they got to take ownership and make arrangements, most likely. Like I have a driveway, I can fit 3 vehicles. I could probably rent 2 now. So I only have 1. No, but on a serious note, we got to leave up to the folks to also take care of themselves.
Agreed. So we discussed adding additional streets. It's already been, I don't think I need to say it again. The next step, if this council agrees, is we can refer to the solicitor to craft an ordinance. There would be then a first and second reading. First reading at our next meeting, and then subsequent one, and it would go into place, and then go to the clerk's office and get a sticker for your new resident sticker. So, right? So can we have a motion to refer to the solicitor, create that?
So move.
Second.
So we had a motion made by Tony, seconded by Mary, including the additional streets. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is I-1. This is Paula Carroll, 103 Constitution Street. And this is on behalf of the Bristol Prevention Coalition. And this is in regards to a proclamation for Red Ribbon Week for October 23rd to October 31st.
Is this the same Paula Carroll that works at Town Hall?
That is the
Yeah.
same Paula Carroll that's hiding over there in the corner.
You're not going to sit down. You have to come up.
I'm not talking. So guess who is?
Yes. Could you state your name and address for the record? please?
Barbara Palumbo, 63 Narrows Road.
And Barbara, what do you do?
I am the coordinator for the Bristol Prevention Coalition.
Thank you. So you are asking this council to do what, please?
To give us a proclamation.
You're not going to talk at all, are you?
No.
Wow.
Anyway, I'm not a good public speaker, so we're asking for a proclamation where the town can support Red Ribbon Week and our prevention efforts during it.
Can you tell everybody what Red Ribbon Week is?
I actually wrote it down, yes, I can. So the Bristol Prevention Coalition celebrates Red Ribbon Week since 1988. It's a nationally recognized program. It runs from October 23rd through the 30th annually. It is in the honorable memory of DEA Officer Enrique Kiki Camarena. Camarena was deep undercover for 4 years in Mexico. Corrupt politicians working for the drug cartel captured, tortured, and subsequently murdered Camarena. So in that honor, the Red Ribbon Week goes above and beyond prevention and recovery efforts. And the proclamation is just a way for the town to support the efforts, not just through prevention, but through community.
I make a motion that we support this.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Mary to support as stated. Discussion? I was super impressed by Paula's input. Thank you so much. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Can I just give you just a quick, I can even give you this paper. It's the
You can tell
schedule of
everyone. Go
what we're
ahead.
doing.
Please, go ahead.
So, on the 22nd, this is October, a neuropsychologist and stand-up comedian, Matt Bellis, is conducting 2 assemblies at the Kickamuet Middle School. On the 23rd, he will have 2 more at Mount Hope. The Promise Garden, our youth advisor, Kerry Souza, and the STAN students at Mount Hope will once again offer tulip bulbs to students to plant a drug-free promise. This will take place during 3 advisories throughout the week. We have positive messaging and drug-free messaging stickers on all concession stand items for every sporting event. And on Friday, the 25th, we are encouraging the entire community to participate in Wear Red Day. Wear Red, send Bristol Prevention your picture because we do want to do something on social media with that. On the 26th, we're in partnership with the Bristol Police Department for the drug take back, and that's from 10 to 2 at the police department. And on the 27th, we're in partnership with the Bristol Police Department and the Merchants Association for the Halloween Walkabout. And on the 28th, our Mount Hope students will be traveling to Kickamuit for the Great Pumpkin Project. They'll be painting pumpkins with drug-free messages and distributing them through Bristol and Warren. And we are currently planning an open to the public knock-on training to round out the week. So that's our Red Ribbon Week agenda.
Outstanding. We know two of the three people that are standing here right now, or at least we know their name. Tell me.
My name is Carrie Souza. I work with the youth at Mount Hope. I'm actually a Warren resident.
That's okay. We won't hold that against you.
That's why I don't have.
Welcome.
Excellent. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk.
Have a motion to adopt a proclamation, which I have.
You did.
Yep,
Yes.
I never called for all in favor, actually, or no, I did. I actually
did.
did.
I missed
Yes.
it, I'm sorry.
Yep. Yep. It's okay.
The next item on the agenda is I2, and this is Clerk Cordero with information about the upcoming election details.
Could you say your name and address for the record? please?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So this is just kind of a public service announcement, just to let the residents know that the information about the next general election, which we all know is coming pretty quickly. So this is just to let everybody know that the general election is going to be held on November 5th. The election hours are from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. The location of voting precincts are on the Bristol website or on voteri.gov, or you can call the town hall and we can help you with that. Early voting will begin next Wednesday, October 16th. It's being held at the Reynolds School Building, 235 High Street. That is going to be Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. That starts October 16th and ends on November 4th. And then anybody who is looking to do a mail-in ballot, the mail-in ballot deadline is October 15th. They can apply for one at the town hall. They can mail an application and after they download it on the town website, or they can apply online at voteri.gov. And if anybody has any information about voting, where they need to go, what's on the ballot, sample ballots, it's either on the town website or they can contact our office and we'll be happy to help them.
So where do I vote? No, just kidding.
Just need to receive and file.
Receive and file?
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim to receive and file. Discussion? I do. Get out and vote. Doesn't matter whoever your candidate is, what party, no party, what you stand for, what you don't stand. Get out and vote. It's so important. And I don't think it's never been more important. So,
Yeah.
all in favor?
So true. Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is I3. This is Chairman Calero, and this is in regards to the Mount Hope High School Robotics Team financial support from the Town Council Contingency Fund.
So Councilman Perrella reached out to me on Friday and we had a discussion about this. And Councilman Perrella, I'll give the floor to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you very much for entertaining this on such short notice. So I was looking at Facebook actually, and I saw a situation occurring at Mount Hope with the robotics team that they may not be able to compete this year or have a team because they didn't have any money. And I thought that is just a terrible, terrible situation. They have, from my knowledge, and I do work on this project in Pawtucket where I work for Pawtucket Schools. And when we first started about 12 or 13 years ago, the person that we came to see was Ryan at Mount Hope High School to kind of get pointers and tips and bring our students down and see what, kind of equipment they had and so forth. And, I've been to many of the competitions and I've seen, Mount Hope, Bristol Warren having, 3-4 teams. And the thought that they wouldn't even have a team, just like blew my mind in a town like Bristol, that they wouldn't even have one team. So I talked to the chairman and thought this is something that we could maybe help with to ensure that we have that. And I just want to say a couple of quick things, like, in addition to like learning how to code and building robots and so forth, like a lot of what the kids learn or the students learn, teamwork, critical thinking, public speaking, they have to defend what they've been doing before the judges, all skills that are needed for the 21st century workplace. And what I'm really happy about is that one, that we were able to help but also that, since in the last week or so that this has been out there, that, Ryan tells me that, a a lot of people have come forward. And I think that is terrific. It was the hope of getting just one team up and going. Well, now maybe you'll get more than one team, but businesses have come forward, citizens, government. And I think most excitingly is the alums of the program who are, I always find it amazing. They keep in touch with their coaches, they keep in touch with each other, they very close-knit group. And, they are doing great things. A lot of them are working in the defense industry in Rhode Island, down in Newport. And there's just, I think that it just says so much about the importance of the program. So I would move that we donate $1,000 from our contingency plan to make sure this program builds back up and is able to be strong going forward and to have a group this year. And I don't know if Ryan, I'm talking too much, but if you want to say anything.
Before you do,
your
Ryan, so
students?
we had a motion from Mary to use 1,000 of council contingency to support this program, seconded by Tony. Discussion. Floor is yours, sir.
Well, as most of you know, I'm Ryan Garrity, have been teaching at the high school for 23 years. This is actually, we're trying to figure out, how long we've been doing robotics. I believe it's actually our 19th year doing it. So I actually brought two students that are just going to introduce themselves really quick. And I can say that, they're fairly new to the program. The program over time has actually been as a class, and now it's just an after-school activity. With that being said, we don't receive the funding for the actual parts that we need, as well as registration fees and whatnot. So we did have a surplus of money from fundraising in the past, but that obviously dwindled over time. So we do plan on bringing back the pasta dinner actually this year. It's also something to be on the lookout for, to continue, this program as it actually has been in the past. I mean, many students, I actually had one in today that actually met the kids, that actually is a former student alumni. He graduated a few years back from Roger Williams, and he's an engineer now. There's many students, if they're not engineers, they're definitely working with their hands, and it's just been overwhelming, the amount of support, just by contacting me saying, hey, what's going on with the program? How can I help? And it's just been a great thing. But let me introduce a few students that I have.
Hello, my name is Kylie Durrett. I am a builder and also work in the engineering notebook, and this is my second year doing robotics.
Great.
Hi, my name is Tyler Scarborough. I am one of the coders over at the robotics team. One of two, so definitely not as much as we had last year. So thank you guys for considering this.
Nice to meet you both.
Could I just say, Ryan, do you happen to have either an address if people who are watching wanted to make a donation, or did you set up a GoFundMe or anything like that, or will they just send you something at the high school address?
Yep. So if people want to make donations, it could be sent to Mount Hope High School, and any checks could actually be made payable to Mount Hope High School. Just making sure that they're sent directly to me, either Ryan Garrity or the Robotics Club. So that way we know where the money is, which account it has to be actually put in. So that way it doesn't just go to the general fund.
Great, thank
That'd
you.
be bad.
I hear what you're saying
All this
on that
hard
one.
work, and,
Gotta put it in the memo section, robotics.
Yes, that's why I encourage everybody, if you can, in the memo section, go ahead and put Robotics Club.
Yeah.
So that way it is earmarked, but.
Council?
Well, it's interesting to see Ryan here this evening because as a former student, then eventually as a colleague, for quite a few years, but he certainly has been a great advocate and has really worked very, very hard through the robotic program, in addition to a couple others in the industrial arts program. So thank you for all that you've done over the years.
Thank you.
I think it's such an important course, and it teaches kids teamwork and communication and engineering. But can you talk a little bit about why, what can we do to help with more funding, as far as talk to school committee members, encourage people to put more funding into for this?
I would say to ensure that once we ended up going from a club and an actual class, and we just became just a club as an after-school activity, that's when our funding was actually cut. So to be able to go ahead and have some funding for the after-school club, you know, as athletics is funded, and we are a sport of the mind as we consider ourselves, to be able to go ahead and have the funding for the club to be able to go ahead and buy the necessary you know, pieces and components that we need. And the main thing is just to be able to register the team, have a field that we actually compete on. I mean, this is the first year ever we actually have our own room at the high school to be able to run the after school activities and whatnot. But like I said, we don't have the supplies that we need yet.
Right.
So that's the main thing. I mean, to be competitive is super important. And if you're working off of, you know, parts of that students ended up getting 4 or 5 years ago, they break down after a while. So we need to be able to be on that cutting edge, just like you would have to be if you were actually out there in the field. So
Ryan, consider
you.
us
Thank you.
advocates
Yeah.
for the program. And I certainly, and sounds like my colleagues are going to also, is convey our thoughts to the school of the importance of this.
Yeah.
We had conversations going back a few years about the drama club and an opportunity for students that did not want to play sports. And just because you do robotics doesn't mean you don't do sports. And just because you are in drama doesn't mean you do sports. But there tends to be, it leans that way or another. We all think that this is a tremendous program. We've been supporting your trip. We've never been in the beginning of this, but I think this is absolutely appropriate. And no, this should not be a reoccurring thing, but hopefully, I know that you have our support to convey our thoughts to the school committee to consider moving this forward so it becomes something that gets funded. We're not talking about a lot of money from the school. I know everything adds up. We talk about this at the town all the time, but this is important.
Yeah.
So
Agree.
any other discussion from the
No,
council?
well said.
I just want to say there's great scholarship money out there as well for kids who participate in robotics. So that is another important point for the students.
there is you know, one of my best students I've ever had just graduated. She's a junior now at WPI, and ended up with a bunch of scholarships because of robotics. I mean, like I said, many of the kids end up local, but some of them end up going to schools, and yeah, there's so many scholarship opportunities for them
Yeah.
that it's just amazing. And then the camaraderie that actually goes ahead and draws the kids in, and friends with people they never thought they'd be friends with, and it's just an amazing experience.
Any other
Fantastic.
Any other discussion from the council?
Just briefly, what grades are either, both of you, Ryan?
I'm a sophomore.
And I'm in a third year, junior year.
Junior year. Awesome. Well, keep up the good work.
If there's no other discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Ryan, thank you. Kylie,
Thank you.
Todd, did I have it? Toddler, sorry,
Tyler.
Tyler. I'll get it right, Tyler. I apologize. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good luck on your season too.
So we had GG1, right?
We have the Citizens Public Forum is next. We did have.
You're
students sign up.
absolutely correct. Thank you. Is Bob Chu here? No?
Go here and sign that form.
So Bob is not here. Just doing that for the record. So, okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is J1. And this is bid 1052, the catering service for the Bristol 4th of July Ball 2025. We did have the bid opening today at noon. We received 4 bids for bid 1025. The first bid was from Emery's Catering. Then option A, which was for a sit down in the amount of $34,342.81 with a $137.37 per plate cost. Option B, light fare, which was $41,066.89 with $164.27 per plate cost. The next bid was received from CP Catering and Sandwich Shop. Option 1 in the amount of $28,750 with a per plate cost of $115. And option B for $35,000 with a $140 per plate cost. The next one was received from Pansy Catering and Events. Option A in the amount of $46,119.92 with a $184.48 per plate cost. And option B in the amount of $38,201.10 with $152.81 per plate cost. The last one was received from Legacy Hospitality and Entertainment Group. Option A in the amount of $42,500 with $170 per plate cost. And option B in the amount of $24,500 with a $98 per plate cost.
So just to take a quick moment, last
Wow.
year's 4th of July ball tickets cost $150.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. One.
I believe it was 150. So just to draw your attention, I'm not picking on anybody in particular. There was a $184 bid here. There's 140, 137, 164. So just tremendous cost on this. So it is what it is.
Start saving your pennies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surprised that the option.
Pennies? Did you
the
say
white beer
pennies?
is like more expensive in some cases than the sit-down dinner. That surprises me. And half of these.
So we just need a motion to refer,
I
right?
make a motion, we refer this to the town administrator and the 4th of July committee to act in the best interest of the town.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim, as stated. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
J2, this is bid 1053, the fall 2024 tree servicing and delivering. We also had a bid today at noon. For that one, we received 4 bids. The first one was from Chaptel's Nursery, Inc., and that was the total bid amount of $13,803. It was broken down by tree size. You want me to break those down?
No, that's not necessary. Thank you.
The next one was from Central Nurseries, Inc., and that was in a total bid amount of $21,590. The next one was from MOM Landscaping, Inc., and that was with a total bid in the amount of $39,738. And the last one was from Site One Landscape Supply with a total bid price of $18,740.
I make a motion, we refer to the town administrator to act in the best interest of the town.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim, as stated. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is J3. This is bid 1054, the 2024-2025 tree planting landscaping services. We have the bid opening today at noon. We received 5 bids for this bid. The first bid was from Central Nurseries, Inc., in a total bid base in the amount of $138,750. The second one was from MON Landscaping, Inc., with a total bid amount of $162,500. The next one was from Regal Tree and Shrub Experts LLC with a total bid of the amount of $161,250. The next one was from Northeast Tree Services, Inc., in a total bid amount of $172,800. And the last one was from HG Landscaping Services LLC in the amount of $70,000.
I make a motion, we refer to the town administrator to act in the best interest of the town.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim, as stated. Any discussion?
Yes, I have a question. I don't know if Diane can probably answer that, or the
I
administrator.
asked him earlier about where
You
this
did.
money was coming from.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Well, I wasn't going to ask where the money's coming from, but I was going to
Well,
ask him.
it's
the
actually, it's good news. So
200, well, yes, why not? Okay, why don't you share that then?
Actually, I'll let Diane share the good news.
Oh, awesome.
well, look at that.
Oh, thank you, Steve. So this was a grant that the town received from the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank. It was one of the community resilience grants, and it's for tree planting in our 3 problem watersheds: Silver Creek watershed, Ternier Brook watershed, and a watershed in the Anawamsket neighborhood that drains down to the Mount Hope Bay. So this is a bid that will allow us to do the first phase of that project. We're going to do it in the fall this year and then in the spring next year. We've had meetings with the residents We're gonna be going out and staking the locations and, hopefully planting a bunch of trees to help with our climate resilience.
So you're talking about, so it will be 250 trees planted then?
Yes, we got a grant to plant that many trees.
Is that will there be a specific type of tree that you look at, or is it just a wide variety of trees pending the area?
It depends on the area. The philosophy is right tree, right place. So
Gotcha.
we're trying to get trees that will grow and succeed. The tree warden's been out with Ed Tanner, and they've been surveying the neighborhood to see what'll fit in the different street locations, and then getting the list for the trees. Yeah.
Diane, congratulations.
Thank you.
How much was the grant?
You bring in a lot of those grants, you get them done. So thank you for your effort.
Oh,
If
you're
it
welcome.
was,
I can't recall the exact amount off the top of my head.
About 2, was it? Yeah,
About 200,000.
outstanding job.
Diane, was this the urban tree canopy grant? That
No, it was a resiliency grant through the infrastructure bank. And the interesting thing is, we did a plan about 4 years ago where we identified projects in town that we could get funding for. And tree planting was one of the things that, we've always been really good at that. And it's a good way to combat climate change. So it's always been in a plan. And then when we brainstormed with the state projects that we could apply for, they said, another town in Rhode Island got a grant to plant trees. And it just, to me, it just seemed, sort of, really, a grant to plant trees, okay. I said, no, we really support that. It's a good effort. It benefits the watershed, it benefits, the
Right.
environment, and that's what we want to see. So we submitted and we got the grant. So
Awesome.
it was great to be able to get that money for the town, because it's, you try to put enough money in the budget to do a substantial tree planting, but this is about, 4 years worth of your regular budget to plant trees. So it's going to be a good increase to the urban tree canopy.
Outstanding.
job.
excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would say it's much needed, especially what we've had going on with trees and the removal of many of them. So the replacement is very welcome.
Outstanding. Mr.
We
Administrator?
like to say, plant a tree and breathe easy. It's our
Yeah.
slogan.
I like that.
A good one.
Yeah. it's a
there
good
it
one.
is.
You've been holding that one back for a little bit, haven't you?
I thought the sheriff would like that one.
All right, so we had a motion and a second, as already discussed. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is K1. This is Stephen Brigidy from Discover Newport. And this is with the report from the Rhode Island's monthly reports for the 24 local 1% collections from June 2024. For the meal and beverage reports.
I make a motion, we receive and file.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim to receive and file. Discussion?
Carl, I just had a quick question in regards to the amount of money that we get in. It looks like 673,000 that we get in on the. No, for the meals tax. Yeah. So I was just curious, in the budget, do we put that towards the general? Do we? It goes general. Okay.
So, public, you can't see this report. I mean, it's available to anyone online, but in front of us right now, there has been some decreases. Some communities have gone down significantly. Bristol saw a small decrease in a couple of them. Bristol saw an increase in others. So it's year over year. It's not bad. I think there was less weddings, and I say that anecdotally, just driving by Herreshoff and Blythewald and all of that. And the amount of brides we see around town, I guess, is another way of doing it. So, but we had a motion to receive and file. Is there any other discussion?
I think Tim just mentioned it, but for people to know, what the meal and beverage tax brings in a year, it was 673,752.
Yep.
So it's getting pretty close to getting up there. I mean, I remember not that many years ago, it was around 400,000, and so it does climb, and it is a great source for us. And I'm very happy. I know there's some talk about the state getting this money, but that they've kept it together and kept
Yeah.
it in coming back to the communities. So I just wanted to mention that, so
And
the
Mary-
public has an idea.
And good point, because, I think of our tourism line item, and that money, and whether we, sometimes wonder, do we really want to increase it? Do we not want to increase it? This is key. We know it's a driver of that
Right.
line item.
Right,
So-
and they bring this
The
up all the
investment,
time to get a piece
I'm
of.
hoping.
Yeah, they bring it up all the time requesting
know.
like a piece of what this is, and
That's
it
true.
has been growing. So, I mean, hopefully it will continue to grow.
Yeah, exactly.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is K2. This is the Bristol County Water Authority Board of Directors Tri-Town Monthly Report from September 2024.
Motion to receive and file?
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony. Receive and file. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. GG1.
And then GG1.
What's GG1?
And GG1.
GG1.
Hello, Mr.
Where's
Chairman.
Gigi?
Madam Deputy Clerk?
Just a quick little commercial on behalf of the Bristol 4th of July Committee. We're having our annual macaroni supper. It's going to be on Wednesday, October 23rd. It's going to be sit down and takeout. So if you just want to grab it and go home, you can. It's going to be at St. Elizabeth's Auditorium, and tickets are $15. If you don't like pasta, which I don't know anybody who doesn't, we have an option where you can just give back and donate a meal to a person in need. We also are delivering meals to Benjamin Church. I want to thank Mr. Texera, Councilman Texera. He donated 20 meals to Benjamin Church, and we are very thankful for that. Thank you. It should be a good time. We have 50-50 and we have raffles going on, so come join us. Should be fun.
You forgot about the soup, salad, roll, and cookie.
Don't forget the cookie.
That dessert.
So if you
Yes.
don't like pasta and you're a big fan of cookie,
Yeah.
And we have lots of bread. You
you have
can
an
Yeah.
opportunity
It's
there.
all about,
Maybe we could coincide with Ryan from robotics to make sure that we don't do two
Well,
macaroni suppers
when
on
you
the
said
same night.
macaroni supper, I was like.
Yeah, slow down. That's
Yeah.
mine,
Yeah.
right?
I don't think it'll be like in a week and a half. I don't.
Try for.
don't
My
think so.
support ends here, right? We just need a motion to receive and file, please.
second.
Motion made by Aaron, seconded by Tim to receive and file. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we just need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Hey, how's the